Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Blades in the Dark. Today, I think we're probably going to roll up a character for Miss Allie and do mainly a bookkeeping session and detail out some things for the crew, some next steps, and things like that. Uh, Today, I think we have Clank, Patience, and an unknown character. So, Allie, did you get a chance to do like the watch the info dump session?
I got through about 15 minutes of it at work, and then my boss was like, "Hey, I need you to do these million things." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess I can't finish this for a little bit."
Right on. Well, I gave you the short version in
Mm-hmm.
Discord a while ago, so we'll go with that and just jump right in if that's okay.
Sounds good to me.
Cool. So, have you looked at the character classes at all?
I would like to punch things.
Punch.
That is my preferred class for this character.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was called.
There's a cutter, which is a dangerous and intimidating fighter, and they're good at punching things and commanding things. Um, let's see. A lurk is more of a sneak person, but they're also pretty good at they're good at backstabbing things.
Mm-hmm.
From that brief description, I think it's probably a cutter is what you're interested in.
I
So
think
I think
so.
we'd looked at that one before, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what you had said looked cool. And you also mentioned that you wanted to punch ghosts,
Yeah,
which
I do want to punch ghosts.
does
That sounds
have
amazing.
does have an applicable talent for the cutter.
yep. So I just showed the character sheet to you guys.
I'm working on getting in right now.
Excellent.
Cool. Let me pull up the character creation kind of cheat sheet. Was it in helpful links maybe? Here we go. All right, choose a playbook. We already did that. Choose a heritage. Detail your choice with a note about your family life. For example, Skovlin, ore miners, now war refugees in Duskwall. All right, so heritage, that can be one of a few different options. I'll pull up that list. Page 52. We've got our playbook. Heritage. Okay. Akaros is kind of the Imperials. They're kind of the most common heritage in this area.
Mm-hmm.
It's the largest and most industrialized land in the Imperium. So probably if you're from Duskwall, then you'd be an Akarosi. Aruvia is a place that's far to the south and it's kind of deserty. Um, think Persia, Egypt, India, that sort of nationality.
Okay.
Let's see. Severos are they still huddle around some ancient cities that still have magic, and that's how they keep their ghosts at bay.
Hmm.
And they're more like a wild nomadic horse tribe. Skovlin, think kind of Scotland and Ireland and uh, Norwegian, I guess.
Gotcha.
There was recently a war between Akaros and Skovlin where Skovlin was saying, hey, "We don't have to listen to you, you stupid emperor. We're our own people," and they brought the brunt of the Imperial army down to bear on them, and it ended a couple years ago when the leadership was assassinated of the Skovlins, and so the Imperials won, and now they are. There's a lot of Skovlin refugees in Duskwall, and let's see what else.
That is a that I like that. I think that sounds good.
Okay, that fits in perfectly with the rest of the Skovlins in the group.
The rest, how many?
We now have four Skovlins and one Kaikarosi.
Yeah,
Hell
it's
yeah.
Clank, Harvest, and Patience so far. I think Sparks is the only one.
What
Kent's character.
what a nerd. We love you, Ken.
For the motherland. I picked that for no specific reason, so that voice has no foundation here.
Buckle up. Here we go.
Oh, jeez. What are we in for?
It might be unsustainable, but I'll give it a shot.
So, part of your heritage also involves a background, and that's on page 54. It's also in this cheat sheet that I can link here, I think.
He did a very nice job giving us handouts and stuff. Thank you.
I don't see it in the cheat sheet, so I'll just read it real quick. Academic, labor, law, trade, military, noble, or underworld. And I can go into some more details, but it's probably pretty much what you're thinking.
Gotcha.
For instance, Clank is labor because he used to be a worker in the mines.
Okay. I feel like Underworld would be fun.
Cool. So you were either a street urchin, a gang member, a young thug, or other outcast who grew up on the streets.
Oh, she's a little thug. For sure.
Nice. All right.
God, I almost just wrote thug instead of Underworld. Underworld, parentheses.
Thuggy McThuggerton. All right. Let's see. Next up is assign 4 action dots. You already have 3. You start out, you're good at skirmish. At 2 dots is actually pretty good. We'll go over the mechanics maybe a little bit later. But put 1 dot in any action that you feel reflects your character's heritage. Put 1 dot in any action that you feel reflects your character's background, and then put 2 dots anywhere else. And the maximum number of dots is 3, so if you wanted to be a badass skirmisher, then you could go ahead and max that out at 3 dots.
Okay.
But if you want to spread some stuff out a bit.
Well, I do want to punch Ghost really well. What is sway?
Sway is kind of lying and manipulation. There's I'll show this. There's
neat.
A list of the skills and kind of what they do. But I can give you like the brief description of different things. Hunt is used for searching and for long-range shots. Study is used for careful observation or researching things. Survey is for like a quick observation. You or like reading a situation. That's more of like your perception of what's going on around you. Study would be more like you're sitting across the street in a safe house, keeping an eye on a place for a long period of time. Tinker is creation, creating things, healing, and could also use it to do things like open locks. There's a lot of overlap between these skills. There's almost always like another skill that could apply to a situation, and one of the cool things about Blades is the character actually tells the game master what skill they're going to be using to try to do something.
Okay.
You'll see in the skill descriptions at the end of each skill description, it'll say, like Tinker says, you could try to use your technical expertise to control a vehicle, but finessing might be better.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you different skills you can use for crossover application, which is really
system.
neat. Mm-hmm. It's very straightforward once you learn it, and NECA's done a really good job of holding our hands as we're introduced to it.
Yeah, it's simple. It's gonna all make sense as we go along.
So I only need to allocate 1 more point. Is that correct?
Nope, 4 dots.
Oh, four total. Sorry, I saw the 3 that are already here, so I was like,
Yep. So yeah, one of them from your what you think might have picked up from heritage, one that you picked up from your background, underworld, and then 2 dots you get to place wherever the heck you want.
Man, I'm gonna punch the crap out of some stuff.
He can't put it at 4.
3 is the max for
Oh,
that.
I'm sorry. I thought that like the first dot was getting it as a thing, and then the
Nope.
second.
Yeah, so your
Okay.
skill ratings are going to be 1 to 4. Generally, at this point, 2 is like really, really good at something. 3 is extremely good, and 4 is the best you can possibly be. So 2 would make you really good. 3 would be pretty extreme for this point.
Yep. And it's also good to spread out your stuff a little bit. Like if you see that vertical line, when you resist something, like one of the things that happens in Blades is you'll be doing something and you're almost always succeeding, but with a cost. You'll be resisting that with your prowess, let's say. And prowess you use to resist consequences from physical strain or injury. And it's all the dots in that first column is what your prowess would be. So right now you have 1 prowess, but you have 2 resolve.
Okay. I don't know. What would be good for my last point? What do you guys think?
Well, you put in 3 in skirmish.
Yeah, I want to punch
Dang.
stuff real
Well,
good.
you will, okay.
Probably prowl wouldn't be a bad idea.
If you want to be sneaky.
That could be a little sneaky.
Just a little bit.
She could be the leader of the group. If it's
Oh
a-
God, not again.
She's got a point of command and she's got a point of sway.
There you go.
Got a point of survey.
Yeah, command is more you're telling people how it is and they're gonna do it or else. And sway is more like you're trying to explain to them why it's in their best interest to do that. It could be truthful, it could be, but usually it's
Right.
more lying. It's like, hey, you really want to do this because of blah. Okay, so I think that's good. So we've got survey, good for reading a situation, prowl, skirmish, command, and sway. Nice. Okay, what was next on the list? So choose a special ability. So special abilities are over on the left, and I think you wanted to be a ghost fighter.
Hell yeah, I do.
Ghost fighters.
You may imbue your hands, melee weapons, or tools with spirit energy. You gain potency in combat versus the supernatural. You may grapple with spirits to restrain and capture them. So there are other ways to capture a spirit with technical devices and spirit bottles and things like that. But you're able to just wrestle him into the ground.
Yes.
Wrestling.
All right.
Another really cool one is Mule. It increases your load limit.
Oh, neat.
So the way the load limit works in this game is at the start of a mission or a heist, you decide what your load limit is, and that basically affects how visible you are, how obvious it is at a glance whether you're up to no good or not. So people will stop you if you're like loaded for bear. But
I mean,
you don't
know how I
decide.
play Skyrim, so I'm always trying to game that load limit.
Sure, but you don't decide what equipment you take with you until you need it.
That's
So
really
you could be
neat.
like, I'm going heavy, so you'll have bags full of stuff and be really ostentatious. But
Yeah,
if you take Mule,
This game has a lot of design decisions about the game that are very elegant, and it's very much one of its prime tenets is eliminate all the boring planning downtime. Don't plan, just get into the action and go. And then so like your load, man, I really wish I would have brought my long rifle. Well, mark off to load, and you did bring your long rifle.
That's awesome.
That's
This
really
sounds really fun, you
it
guys.
is. It's a good time.
Let's see here. Choose special ability. That was easy. We already did that. Okay, you have a list of dangerous friends over here on the right. Choose one close friend and one rival. Let's see.
Is the close friend the up arrow?
Yes, ma'am.
You figure you got it. Look
It's
at that intuitive
it's that good design.
Choose one from the list who is a close relationship, a good friend, a lover, a family relation, etc. Mark
Now, what is sawtooth? What is that word?
It's a person's name.
No, like what is their job?
a physiker. That's actually a doctor.
Okay. I mean, she probably would need to be friends with the doctor, but wouldn't it be funny if she was rivals with the doctor?
Well, that could be like you got beat up one too many times and never paid them back after they fixed
Yeah.
you, or you roughed up their like you went in there chasing a mark or something and beat
Now they
somebody
won't
up
give me
inside their
service
office.
anymore.
Sure. Yeah.
Get butthurt about it.
Yeah. It's whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
Who's the person you're friends with?
An extortionist.
That makes sense. That
Right?
tracks. You're the vicious thug, so you don't need that. You're
I'm the
probably-
muscle.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so choose your vice. So back up in the top left section, there's a vice and a vice purveyor. There's a few different vices, and this is what you use to kind of blow off steam and get your stress, relieve yourself of stress. Stress is kind of a game resource that you use to do things like go into flashbacks, resist consequences, push for more dice, push for greater effect, things like that. So stress is a very valuable resource, and this is how you get it back.
Okay, cool.
So faith, you're dedicated to an unseen power, forgotten god, or ancestor. Usually this isn't like, oh, I worship God and everything's cool. Usually you're worshiping some sort of dark entity, and
We're also playing in an Avernus game. I get it.
yep. So
Hmm.
gambling, you crave games of chance, betting on sporting events, etc. Luxury, expensive or ostentatious displays of opulence. Obligation, you're devoted to a family, a cause, an organization, a charity. Pleasure, gratification from lovers, food, drink, drugs, art, theater. Stupor, you seek oblivion in the abuse of drugs, drinking to excess, getting beaten to a pulp in the fighting pits, etc. Weird, you experiment with strange essences, consort with rogue spirits, observe bizarre rituals or taboos.
I'm kind of feeling luxury.
Luxury.
Oh, this is real nice.
This is nice.
This is beautiful.
You see these rings?
So fancy
I'm actually-
clothes, hot baths, food that's not mushroom or eel.
Sounds
sort of
good.
thing.
Although I do really like eel sauce and mushrooms, so you know,
But on your terms.
on my
If
terms.
you have to eat it for every kind of ruins it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
You've never had a good portobello burger, have you?
Excuse me.
All right, we need to find a your main kind of vice purveyor. Let's see. Dunridge and Sons, Fine Fabrics and Tailoring. He's over in Night Market. Singer runs a bathhouse in Crowsfoot. Tavern Smoke Shop in Coleridge. Chef Roselle, the Golden Plum Restaurant in Six Towers.
That's the one.
I was watching your face when he said that. It's like, yep, there it is.
You know I love Ratatouille.
Of course.
And I don't think we picked out y'all's vice purveyors. Clink and Patience.
I had when I was originally designing the character, I know there was one. There was like a racetrack.
Yeah.
Master
also-
Green, the Hound Racing in Night Market.
And I did Spogs dice game
Okay.
and Crow's Foot game, I believe.
Sweet. We did do that. All right.
We have a problem.
Yeah, just not the same problem. Not quite.
Just a little different.
Record your name, alias, and look. And I know that can be tough, but oh, looks like you already got an alias. Nice.
Yeah, I don't have a real name though.
That's fine.
So when I've been thinking off and on about this character for like a couple weeks now, and I didn't realize vices were such a big part of the system. And I was like, vice, because like a vice grip, because she
Yeah.
grabs you and she punches you.
Awesome. She has very strong hands.
That monkey grip.
Those ham hands.
Ham hands.
That would be a good alias.
Ham hands.
So you So yeah, with a 3 skirmish, you could be a pretty beefy lady.
Mm-hmm.
Snoo snoo.
Did you explain how our good fundamentals make up for our inability to dunk?
The men must die.
Page
Excellent.
56 for
Thank you for that.
names and looks. Cool. I put a note down in your character description stuff down in the bottom right, just to say, hey, you can take a look at some names and looks over on page 56. So one thing that's important, and we'll cover this again before we actually play, the playbook advancement has different XP triggers, and this is how you gain XP throughout a session.
Oh, neat.
Anytime you make a desperate action rolls, there's 3 types of actions you can make according to the current situation. It can be a controlled situation where there's not really you're in complete control and you're not going to get hurt doing this thing. Worst thing that might happen is you might mess up and go to a risky situation. Risky is kind of your standard, hey, I'm fighting with somebody on even ground, but a desperate situation is like, hey, you're engaging a gang and you're all by yourself, and anytime there's a desperate situation when you're making that attribute roll, then you get to mark an XP in the corresponding place where it came from. So the little I'm marking some stuff over on prowess. So if you rolled a desperate skirmish roll, then you'd mark an extra dot, and then as soon as this XP bar gets filled, then you get to add another dot somewhere in prowess.
Cool.
So that's one way to get XP. Everybody gets that. And then every single character sheet has a different way of earning XP, and you get XP if you address a challenge with violence or coercion. So basically, if you're beating the heck out of someone or using command to boss people around.
I think she's going to be really good at this, you guys.
Usually the triggers will be like, here are at least 2 of these 3 things that you're guaranteed to do every session if you lean into what the class is designed for.
Yep.
Like, I get experience whenever I address a challenge with technical skill or mayhem.
Oh.
So I can blow things up or fix.
And then everybody gets the last 2 as well. It's like you expressed your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. And you struggled with issues from your vice or traumas during the session. You don't have any traumas yet. But you'll pick those up if ever you max out your stress bar. If you max out your stress, then you suffer a trauma, and then it's kind of a bad thing. But then it's also another way to earn XP. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. And if ever you get 4 traumas, then your character just is at that point unplayable and has to be retired. Either they retire, or you set them up to take the fall for the gang and clear your heat, and they go to prison for you.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, it kind of I really liked how in Monster of the Week they gain experience for every failed roll they do. I thought that was a cool way to do that, but I think I like this even better.
Yeah, I like the individual things, because then it kind of encourages players to lean into their role.
Yeah.
And so if you do these things like once, then it's worth 1 XP. Twice, maybe 1, maybe 2 if it was cool. But if you're doing them like 3 times, then each one of these things can be worth 2 XP each.
Oh man.
And when you earn XP from there, you can either put it in your playbook advancement, which is that track that I just made red, or you can put it in one of your attribute bars in the top right. If the playbook advance gets all the way filled, then you get to select another special ability.
Hell yeah.
Cool. And that was character creation pretty much.
Great. That was so easy.
Yeah, it's really straightforward. It's awesome.
Yep. And this is a very narrative game, and there's a whole lot of shared storytelling, both so I want you to feel empowered to change the scene in subtle ways, or I watched some of your or listened to some of your podcasts, and I liked the kind
Aw.
of camera work you guys were doing in your scenes. Feel free to do some of that as well.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
I'm so touched.
Feel free to plug your show, and then my dozen of followers can check it out.
Hey, anybody who follows Mr. Eck obviously has
Excellent taste.
Damn it.
God damn, we're good.
So good. That wasn't planned or anything. We're just that good. I think I just used that joke a lot because it's
No, it's
timeless.
It's true.
Timeless.
Yeah,
Well,
Doug and Allie.
Zach's probably tired of it.
No.
All right, I kind of want you to do it again.
It'll happen organically. Don't worry.
It'll come back up.
So Doug and Allie run a podcast, and I think it's pretty cool. Feel free to say what it is and where you can find it.
It's good stuff.
All right. It's called RPG for You and Me.
Because it's just
Because
the
it's
two of
the
us.
two of us. We run a duet actual play in the Savage World system. In our custom setting, it's like cyberpunk fantasy, cop drama, mystery, noir.
It's just kind of like we put
Neon.
a bunch of marbles of genres in a bag and shook it up and then just tossed them on the table. We're like, we're doing all of these. This is all of them.
So it's very neon heavy, but it's fun. If you like actual plays, you might.
It's very edited and narrative driven.
Yeah.
I respect your time.
And it's in a cool custom world.
It is.
Thank you.
It's a good listen.
And growing.
Thanks, guys.
Very kind of you.
So
I'm blushing, you can't see.
So back to expressing your beliefs, drives, heritage, and background. One of the things that I feel like we've kind of lacked is drives for the character. I feel like we're still getting our feet under us. So
Yeah.
part of this session, I wanted to develop, kind of brainstorm about what is driving your characters and things like that. And with Allie making another Skovlin, I think that kind of makes sense for a kind of an obvious thing for the gang.
Sure.
You guys were all part of the Skovlin War in some fashion or another, and have had to give up your homes, and for whatever reason, you've wound up in Duskwall. I'm actually going to show this to Allie. So another character in the game is actually the crew. This is the crew sheet.
Nice.
And the crew levels up in much the same way. Since we are a crew of shadows, that's mostly thieves, spies, and things like that. We get XP for the crew gets XP for successful operations in espionage, sabotage, or theft, and then all the crews get access to the next three. And one of the things that we weren't really getting XP for from the crew is expressing the goals, drives, or inner conflict or essential nature of the crew. That's just something we haven't detailed out yet.
Gotcha.
I think we finally have a name. And I said when we did get a name, then we would fill in this last XP box. So, what was the name? Was it Storm Riders?
Yes, that's what it was.
Oh, that's cool.
That seems appropriate. I like it.
Storm Riders. And I think you probably...
Honestly, I forgot.
I think you guys picked up that name from your very last score.
Oh yeah, that sounds right.
Because you guys came in, acted like you belonged there, and said, "Oh yes, I am totally the scholar here to pick up the monster." And
Yeah.
when
I heard that peripherally. It was very fun to hear
Oh.
you two accents at once.
It was,
That was beautiful.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
So yeah, and then as you guys were fleeing, some other people were showing up to stop you, and that's when Kent summoned this supernatural fog.
Awesome.
Which was epic.
And
It
then,
was.
and then you guys made it away. Let's see here. So, when the crew advancement thing fills up, what we get to do is we get to clear the XP track, and then we get to either pick a special ability, or we get to pick 2 crew upgrades from the shadow crew upgrades at the top right, or the layer or the quality stuff. Let's see here. There's a couple of different things that we could do. I mean, you guys are in complete control of this, but since everybody's new, I'm just kind of offering some suggestions.
I'm sorry, you said we can either pick a special ability or we can pick, was it 2 of these
Yeah,
boxes?
2 check boxes.
Okay, gotcha.
So like
they have to build out from the layer, I assume.
Yep. So crew upgrades up here, like thief rigging, underground maps and passkeys. You can get better documents for better quality documents, or you could get a vault. If it doesn't have the line with it, like down here, mastery, that's what enables you to get 4 dots in something. I don't think that's a good investment right now.
Yeah, probably not. Because you need to actually buy all 4 of those dots to complete it to get the effect, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's rough.
But like you could get a carriage, and that's a reasonable thing. But then like the 2 dots of carriage, I think it's either maybe 2 separate carriages or maybe 1 upgraded carriage with like armor and secret compartments and things like that.
I would really like to this. I think this is for the future, but I think thematically a gambling den would be good.
Absolutely.
2 of us are gamblers, but the heat minus, or let's see, tier roll minus heat equals coin and downtime won't matter until we're stronger and of a higher tier anyway, I think.
Yep. But we're moving up our rep track, and that's what's going to increase our tier.
Mm-hmm.
And these things right here, like the gambling den, the turf, things like that, those are actually scores that you need to go on. You need to go take that from somebody.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so like right now, this city has existed for 1,000 years, and there's been a lightning barrier around it for like 400. Everything is owned by everyone.
Gotcha.
So you guys are kind of new on the scene. So when you're expanding your gang, you are taking it from someone else and pissing them off.
Gotcha. So any of these boxes building out from the layer is a score that we would need to plan and go on.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Neat.
Cool. Okay.
So if you
Then,
want
yeah,
a
I think-
gambling den, then head out and go claim some turf, and then claim a gambling den. We might be able to do both of those in the same night or something like that. Just depending.
I think I also remember you saying that when you claim that counts as a permanent dot on the XP track, starting from the right going left to reduce the number of marks we need to level up.
Yep. So if you had 2 turf, then basically your rep XP bar gets smaller, so it takes less to level up your gang. You
Nice.
That's cool.
you start getting more people on the street, and more people see you around, so they know that you are serious business. Right now, the gang is pretty much just you guys. And if you're wanting to go take over some turf and take over a gambling den, then one of the things that you're going to probably need is an actual gang of thugs.
Right.
So that's something you could picking up a gang of thugs might be decent. Or you could acquire an asset and basically rent some thugs to go take over some things, and then you just have to keep acquiring that asset to keep them around from session to session. But yeah, so let's see. Some fun special abilities. Everyone steals. Everyone gets a dot of prowl, finesse, or tinker.
I like that one.
Yeah,
but
that was just
at some point I would like that.
Yep. Probably getting that eventually. That's just free money.
Yeah.
I like ghost echoes. Basically, you are aware and can access the ghost structures of Duskwall. That might be useful for digging into some archives that were burned to the ground or something, but you can go into the psychic echoes and kind of research something that existed in the past.
I think that's really cool thematically based on what our group has done so far too.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with Sparks doing his display, and if Vice is coming in and can also punch ghosts, so we already have some amount of people who interact with that ghost world.
All right.
So that's
Pack rats. Anytime you're acquiring a temporary asset, you take plus 1d.
Nice.
Let's see. That's part of downtime actions.
Mm-hmm.
Patron. When you advance your tier, it costs half the coin it normally would. So instead of right now, I think to go from tier 0 to tier 1, it costs 8, so it would only cost you 4.
Okay.
Slippery, you guys already have.
What is for clandestine? It says, oh shoot, where'd it go? Oh, whoops, I lost it.
I found a very
I'm
troubling
sorry.
phrase in the looks section. Eel skin bodysuit.
That's a look, alright.
Ooh.
For the second story special ability, it says when you execute a clandestine infiltration. Does that have mechanical connotations in this game, or is that just a descriptor?
It's just a descriptor for when you're trying to sneak into a place.
Gotcha. Okay.
If your plan was stealth, basically, and you're trying to break into a place, then you get +1 to the engagement roll. And the
Gotcha.
engagement roll is kind of the thing that happens at the very beginning that sets the initial position.
Mm-hmm.
Synchronize is pretty neat. If you're doing a group action, then you can count 6s from everybody's pool. So if you got a 6 and Doug got a 6, then that's technically a crit.
For a group action, would that also count for if I chose to assist someone?
No, that's
Okay.
It's more like no, a group action. Somebody leads the group action, and basically you take the best result, and that's how like the group of you sneaks by somebody.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
then yeah, so
Let's see here. Well, from crew upgrades, thief rigging is pretty cool. 2 free loads of tools or gear.
Mhm.
Like, I take my tools on just about. Well, I mean, I have taken them on every job so far for
Mhm.
demolition.
but we
Okay.
also haven't run out of. I don't think anyone's. I don't think I've ever seen anyone run out of
Load.
load.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think I have yet.
But that's definitely something.
I think it might be neat to have the underground maps and passkeys since our last session you were like digging underground and
That's
just getting
true.
started.
And our lair is in Night Market in the underground tunnels near the train station, so that feels pretty appropriate.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
We have underground maps and passkeys. Let's take, if everybody's cool with it, let's use 1 point for that.
Yep.
Sounds good.
And then one more. So I've been using, I guess I didn't the last time, but I can use Tinker to build stuff for our lair in downtime. So for all these other ones, like Vault, Secure, Boat, Carriage, there are 2 boxes, but they're not connected. Does that mean there's just 2 levels that we can buy independently?
Yep. So like Vault would let you get out to here on the Vault
Oh, right, yeah.
for 1 dot, and then 2 dots lets you get all the way up to there.
Vault might be worth considering because we're all carrying coin on ourselves right now because we don't have room for anything.
That's true. Yeah. That's a good
And
point.
we can use money for like just about everything. So I feel like if we do one more really good heist, we're probably going to be capped out on money.
Yeah, you're gonna have to either burn
You
some
can
cash or
Tap out on money.
We're going to draw attention from all the jingling going on in our walking.
Yeah. Well,
one.
maybe a vault. I don't know.
One thing that we haven't been doing is this is another mechanic that, but now that you're kind of flush with cash, I think I would bring it up. There's a concept of stash on your character sheet, and this is kind of your retirement fund. Right now, if you retire, you're at a stash level of 0, and so you're going to be awash in vice and living in the gutter and just trying to get to your next hit of your habit, of your addiction. And but if you have a 10 coin in your stash, then you have a slightly better retirement, and that goes all the way up to basically 40 coin worth of stash. So one thing that you would do is if you have too much money, I'm using my finger quotes, then you could start putting it in your stash.
Okay.
That's cool. And then your character can get away if they need to.
Mhm.
Can we talk about a 401k maybe?
Just ferret some away. Compounding interests.
Nice.
There's actually an ability that is, I think it's a little something on the side is the name of the ability, and basically every score you go on, you get two coin in your stash. So
Nice.
that's your 401k.
Yeah, that's fun for flavor.
Training grounds. Right now, you guys have a prowess training ground, and what that allows you to do is when you spend a downtime activity to train in prowess, you get 2 XP in it instead of just 1.
Hmm.
So another training thing would be good, but if you wanted to do vault, that'd be fine.
Vault's cool. I also like the idea of upgraded documents because for the most part, our group has been about infiltration and subtlety rather than being super overt. That might change a little bit with Vice, but she still has sway and command. So if we had documents worked out pretty well last time.
Sure.
So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I like both of those ideas. I know we gained that coin pretty good, pretty quick.
Yeah.
If we didn't have a vault and we had excess, can you give us a couple of examples of what we'd be able to spend the coin on that's beneficial to us?
You can spend a coin on a downtime action, and then you can also spend a coin to kind of increase the effect of a downtime action. So if you were working on like a new tinkered device or something, and you scored okay, then you could you could spend coin to bump up the effect of your roll by buying improved ingredients or specialized tools or things like that, and and then basically you just get to add more ticks to your clock.
Gotcha. Yeah, makes sense.
So the other thing you can do is you can just use a coin to get an extra downtime action,
Which is pretty good. I mean, we
Yeah.
could. So if we had 5 leftover coin, we could just dump a bunch of downtime actions and do stuff like reduce heat, reduce stress, and just get all of our bookkeeping done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being the case, I'm less inclined to buy a vault right now, knowing we can just spend all of our excess coin. But
Yeah.
what problem? Oh, so I guess the problem is when we want to go up a tier, we're gonna need to have bulk coin available to do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have probably a couple more sessions. If you claim the turf, probably, if you claim turf from somebody, then it'll probably be 2 sessions when we need to upgrade the tier, and so you'll need 8 coin 2 sessions from now.
Gotcha. Well, then I would vote let's not worry about vault, and let's either spend it on documents or something else if you guys had a good idea.
It's never bad to have documents for information.
I think that's a sound reason, man. Let's go with documents.
Sounds good. And then
Just got a big old bag of maps and documents. Hey guys, look what I found in the trash.
So here's a question for the group. Is a cape too much?
no.
Cape or cloak?
Cape.
Oh. I don't. Yeah, that's a
look, but she
that's a
is
setting
luxurious.
question that Ek is.
Well, it's on my list of things I can wear.
Oh, then yes, it's on the
I would
list of looks. You took luxury as your
I
vice,
did.
like
It makes sense to me.
vice.
Mm.
Vice
I would think a cape with a little hood or something on it.
Ah, yes.
Make sure it's bright red.
I was thinking gold.
Nice. There you go.
Well, we are tier 0. We're a tier 0 gang, and you have a tier 0 stash, so we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel here. So
Oh, it's not like made of gold. It's just like gold in color.
it was
It's
probably
gilded.
gold.
It's-
It was probably gold once upon a time, but the edges are frayed, and it is not satisfying your luxury vice right now.
It's not bejeweled as she would like it to be, I'm sure.
But it's probably nicer than anything most of us are wearing.
Sure.
That's right.
She's seen you before.
So,
Well, you have to be that way.
Why you get to be mad?
Well, you have to be mad.
so I think that's it for the Storm Riders. We have leveled up, and we are good to go. All right. Let's see. Horace, I gave you +1 XP for showing up last time, and go ahead and take an XP for having a character portrait, and you can put those anywhere you want.
Ooh, wow, thank you.
Nice, nice.
I think Kit's going to get an XP for coming up with Storm Riders.
I did have a character portrait.
May I spend an XP to remove my sickened?
No.
How'd you
Okay.
get sick?
Oh my goodness, there was this terrible disease.
Terrible rocks, though.
Yeah.
It was some drown powder that he used
Yep.
on someone else, and he inhaled a little bit
Yep.
himself.
Is that your vice? Inhaling powders you don't know what they are.
It is now.
Okay, we've detailed out which vice purveyor we're using. Let's see, what else? Heat correction. Oh yeah. Last time we had 5 heat, and we rolled. You had a downtime action to get rid of it, and you got a 5, and so I knocked the heat down by 5. But it works more like the clocks. So 1 through 3 gets you reduces the heat by 1. A 5 reduces a 4 or 5 reduces it by 2, and a 6 reduces it by 3. So
Nice.
we're at 3 heat right now, I do believe.
That sounds fun. I trust the correction.
Friendly contacts can give +1 die to downtime actions. So anytime you're doing a downtime action and you have a friendly contact that can apply, then they can give you an extra die for that. What else? I already talked about like the TV show camera stuff, how Doug and Allie do their podcasts. Feel free to do that. I wanted to backtrack on Satara's offer. So one of the things that I did for Kent was like he wanted to try and find out more about the about that Ghost Reaper, and Satara said she would buy it from him, which was fine, and she said she'd give him 4 coins. But I think dealing with the demon and stuff, they she would have also offered other things that he might want, like increasing some magical powers or teaching him a weird ritual.
Sure.
And he decided to go that route. So everybody that was on that score, go ahead and give yourself +1 XP, and we're going to take away that 4 coin, and I'll pull that from, I guess, drop a coin and give yourself an XP. You
Okay.
could put that anywhere you like.
Cool.
Sounds good. I will put it in my main XP track.
Woo!
I am 2 away from advancing.
There we go.
1 somehow?
I will advance someday. Maybe.
So the way she collected it, I wanted to. We just kind of handled that off camera, but I was thinking about it, and I thought it'd be cooler if she just came and collected it while you guys were in the storm fog.
Ooh, that's neat.
Ooh, nice, yeah.
So you guys are riding across the bridge back into Crow's Foot, and you're still in this supernaturally thick fog. Some people are diving out of the way every once in a while, and they're making sure they're not in the way of this goat-drawn carriage, except for this old woman who's like right in your path. She just materializes from the fog, and she just holds up this gnarled hand. You're forced to skid the cart to a halt, and she smiles a toothless grin. The goat yet lets out this as the cart
solid,
skids
man.
to a halt.
That's good,
At first, you guys are like, "Who the hell is this guy?" But Sparks kind of waves everybody down, and she just walks over to the side, and she motions for him to get down off the cart. The cage of the monster, it just opens on its own.
Oh, I forgot about the monster.
yeah.
and this thing stands up, and I don't think I described it when it stood up. Like when it's laying down, kind of it has like this just bulk of excess of skin, and when it lays down, it just kind of blobs out into like this pile of rough earth. It looks like, but when it stands up, it's like these saggy sacks of flesh and stuff are kind of hanging off of it, and it has this broad mouth and these two eyes that sit very close together on the top of its head. And when the gate opens, it just leaps in one motion off of the cart and just lands into the canal below with a splash. And she says, "Would you like your payment now?" And Sparks nods, and she reaches both of her wrinkly old hands up and grabs him by the neck. And everyone's kind of watching this because this is weird.
Yeah, I'm kind of regret not having my lights on right now.
And her fingers kind of meld into the flesh of his neck like it's pushing into dough or Play-Doh. And she closes her eyes, and when she opens them back up, you see like the black sea in them, and you see pinpoints of light like distant stars behind her eyes, like someone just took a Photoshop thing and cut out her eyes and posted a NASA picture behind it. And then she exhales, and this cloud of smoke, black smoke, comes out of her mouth and envelops Sparks' face, and he coughs, and he tries to get away from her, but he's just unable to move this small, pathetic little old woman. And then she says, "Then come with me," and she takes 2 steps back and falls off of the canal into the water.
What the fuck?
You look, and now Sparks is like reaching out, and you see his neck is kind of fluctuating open, and it looks like he has gills now. He's gasping for breath, and then he stands on the edge of the canal, and he looks down, and he looks back at you, and then he just falls head first into the canal, and then you don't see him for a while.
Jeez.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some panicked yells as they.
Oh
Clank
yeah,
at least is going to
yeah.
run over and check.
This happened in the Blades in the Dark actual play that John Harper did. They made a statement that was, this is one of those scenes that you see in the intro and you go, "Oh, that's where that was from." Like an intro in a show where it has lots of little scenes from the show that hasn't happened yet.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha,
totally
okay.
gotcha.
Yeah.
It's an anime opening, right? Where they like highlight cool fights to come, but they're all out of context, so
Yeah.
you can't get anything, but you know it's going to be so cool.
So
And then
yeah,
there's always like 2 little clips that don't actually happen, and
Yeah.
you're like, "What
That
a trimmed scene? That's bullshit."
we
So
just didn't get to it. It's manga only.
So yeah, I think the scene would be Sparks standing on the edge of a foggy canal on the bridge, and then just plummeting in, and you look over the edge, and they're both just gone.
Yeah.
We're just like
Yeah,
freaking
there's-
out.
Everybody else just runs over to look down. There's nothing, no
Yeah.
indication of where they went, and we just
Yago!
each other, and then around in the area, knowing that there are still people in the distance looking for us. But now we don't need this cart anymore.
Yeah,
We've already gotten everything we came from, so I think we probably just beat it from there.
yeah. So magic is something that feels kind of, or that most people believe is kind of supernatural or mythic or stuff that happened in the past. Ghosts are real, and ghosts are a thing, and everybody knows that. But something like this would be kind of off-putting unless you've been around people like that. Like there are certain people that are in the know, and PCs can definitely be those people. But this would be definitely what the hell just happened.
Yeah.
So we've seen Sparks use his abilities to some extent. I mean, we
Yeah.
know that he summoned that storm right before this happened. So
Mm-hmm.
I think this has been one large bout of weirdness for the rest of us. What did magic play any significant role in the war? Like, would we have seen any kind of significant magical artillery, or was it used against us?
You could have. I pictured that that it might have been used in some select troublesome areas. Like, hey, this is a they're really dug in really bad here, and it's a super defensive position. We're not sure how the Imperials are going to take it from them, and then something just happened, and then there wasn't a problem with the Scovlins there anymore. Yeah, it's almost always happen. Like if it happens, it happens on the periphery of like scientists and other people that could really identify what the heck was going on. Because like in a war situation, there's just all kinds of weird stuff going on with like artillery and different things and different
Sure.
spark craft things like shooting out lightning and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But yeah, you could definitely have encountered that or know somebody that is a real like ritual casting sorcerer.
I think for Clank at least, I want to say that he does not have experience with it, so this is all probably pretty new. Maybe it is, maybe they heard rumors about its military application, but he never saw it firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Clank punches. Or no, fuck your Clank. Vice punches ghosts, so I think she's aware of magic-y things.
But everybody knows that
Everybody knows
ghosts
about
exist. Ghosts are one thing.
magic's
Magic
different.
is something else.
Okay,
Yeah.
she just punches. That's all she.
Ghosts and magic? What are you, crazy?
This
It's
guy,
science.
this dum thinks ghosts are magic.
So yeah, right now the gang is pretty flush with cash. I wanted to talk a little bit about the next steps and kind of where the gang come from and where the gang's going. I'm moving us over here to the.
Oop.
Oops, no. Over here is the kind of the map of Crowsfoot here in the middle. The docks are up north, and what is it? Char Hollow below us. I can't remember if that's.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
You okay, Horace?
Did I lose people?
Can you hear us?
I don't think you can hear us.
Oh no.
We can hear you, Horace.
Kevin. Horace.
You can't hear us.
Nope, I can't hear you.
Oh
I'll
no.
reload.
Allie, can you mute us for 1 second?
Yeah, if I remember how to.
Can you hear us?
There we go. Sorry about that.
Okay. Doug and Allie are muted right now.
That was unusual.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was my fault. I clicked a button that I didn't mean to, and then something weird happened on my end. I'm not sure if Allie and them can hear me, so I'll just hold off for a little bit.
And we're back.
Yay!
Welcome back.
The fire's roaring once again.
Okay, so I made this kind of faction map of the areas that I think we're interested in. Right now, the main situation that's going on are the black section and the red section are the lamp blacks and the red sashes,
Nice.
and they're going to war with each other. And the reason why they are is because the leader of the crows was recently murdered by their second in command, and he was kind of the guy that was keeping the peace between these two. Now that he's dead, there's just some
There's a power vacuum.
there's a power vacuum. The peace is no longer being respected, and they're starting to fight each other a bit. The other stuff that's going on right now is the Foghounds have been trying to lock down all the they've been trying to knock out all the other smuggler gangs, and the Vultures are pretty much their only competition anymore, so they've been skirmishing with each other as well. You guys are not on good terms with the Foghounds. You are on good terms with the Lamp Blacks, and then you're neutral with the Crows and the Red Sashes.
Right.
So you guys were talking about wanting to do a gambling den and get some turf and things like that. So we could put that in any of these three sections, and we could start going after them.
So what if we shoot for the loyal fence or no, that doesn't go to the gambling den, does it?
Mm-mm.
Ah.
And that doesn't have to be like the next thing we focus on. That's just, and that it's also less effective until we get to a slightly higher tier. So if we have a couple of sessions before then anyway, we can always plan ahead.
Yep.
So we kind of promised to lay off the Foghounds, but that doesn't mean we can't help the Vultures to screw with the
That's
Foghounds.
Yes.
true. I like the way you're thinking.
So you could like you promised Bazo, leader of the Lamp Blacks, with cheap words that, oh yeah, we'll stop messing with the Foghounds.
Yeah, sure. We'll stop talking about them.
It would probably be to our advantage if we honor request. I mean, there's a lot of other people to mess with in the city, so
Sure.
the Red Sashes are directly, in conflict with the Lamp Blacks. So we could either pick a side, or we could get in good with both of them, and then be like, well, we can't. We can't get involved here. Sorry.
Can't do that.
And we're kind of located like to the southeast, right?
Yeah, and you guys are like way in the east middle.
This
off
isn't even
screen.
our territory.
Yeah, you're operating in this territory with the Lamp Black's blessing, but your lair is way over in Night Market. But if you were going to take over turf and stuff, I imagine you would do it in this area.
Yeah.
So the Lamp Blacks, the Crows, and the Red Sashes are all tier 2 gangs, which is 2 above you. You're a tier 0 gang right now.
Gotcha.
The Vultures and the Foghounds are both tier 1 gangs, and they're both kind of concentrated in smuggling operations.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the situation that's going on right now. I've been keeping up with a couple of things that have been going on, and I'm just going to link those clocks here in chat. Can I do that? Yep.
Ooh.
Are the vultures in one of these lists under factions?
The green one? They're not in. They're kind of a minor thing, and so I don't know if they even made it to the faction list.
Gotcha. I'm just looking at the tier 1 factions.
Yeah, they didn't have like a legit entry. The only thing that they've been mentioned as is these were enemies of the Foghounds. They were like a sub-blurb in their section.
Gotcha.
So this is kind of what's going on right now. The war is going to start in Crow's Foot here in just a little bit. You guys could try to advance that clock to make it happen sooner, or you could try to slow down the clock if there was stuff you wanted to get ready. The person whose necklace you have, they are looking for their necklace, and they are going to find it before too terribly long.
And that's the one that Sparks got out of the strong box from the first take.
Yep, and
And he's currently doing research on it himself, right?
Yep, and he's figured out how to use it and what's happened with it, or he's figured out how to use it and knows that there is a spirit that is trapped inside the necklace, and he knows how to communicate with that spirit. So if you wanted to make him do that, then that's something we could do to find out more information.
And who was it that
Sounds
the
wise.
necklace is stolen from?
You guys found that in the Red Sash territory when you guys knocked over a pawn shop in session 1.
I don't really want to touch that because I think that Sparks/Kent
Yeah.
is probably invested in that, and I'd rather leave it to him.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay.
War starting in Crow's Foot, and primarily that would be between the Lampblacks and the Red Sashes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Lisa is the one who killed the leader of the Crows and is currently gathering all of their troops.
Yeah, there's a lot of dissension in the Crows' ranks right now.
What?
Because she killed the boss, and I mean,
Right.
people were loyal to the boss, and then
Sure.
she just stone cold strangled him with her hands, and
Is it fair to say, looking at the faction map, that if the Red Sashes and Lampblacks go at each other, that the Crows might get caught in the middle of that?
oh, absolutely. The
Yeah.
like right now, the Lampblacks, like if everything stayed equal, then probably what would happen is the Lampblacks would start taking over the Red Sash territory, or vice versa, and then the Crows would either help out or try to put a stop to it. Right now, everybody kind of pays up to the Crows, but that's been happening a little bit less and less. So
Right.
right now
I'm
she's
curious about that.
yeah. Right now she's kind of losing. She's lost immediate control, but she's trying to get it back.
Do we know what affiliations do the Crows have that we're aware of?
They are. Let me
They're
see.
tier 2, so they're the same tier and they have the same hold as the Red Sashes and Lampblacks.
Mm-hmm. And
Is it common knowledge that Lisa's the one that kind of took out the leadership and is vying to get control of the Crows?
yeah, there's not 100% proof of that, but that's the word on the street. And there was a. Let's see. Did I put that in the Ethereal Herald? I think I did.
I mean, would it be like a bad idea to just let those two factions go to war with this scrambling faction in the middle, and then hey, there's one less faction to worry about?
I mean, that's, yeah.
Not necessarily. I mean,
Could,
it
could be profitable for us.
It could easily turn
Yeah.
into a 3-way battle. I mean,
Yeah.
they're all right there. They're all relative strength.
But it seems like Crow's going to take the highest casualties because they're smack right in the middle.
I think so.
If they get involved, that could be true. They're kind of all over the place right now. So
I mean, there's a threat of a civil war with the Crows, all the while at the same time, Lampblacks and Red Sashes are going to be crossing through Crows territory to get to each other.
So right now, the allies of the Crows that you know about are they're allied with the Bluecoats. They have deals with them. They pay up to them a little bit. and they're allies with the citizens of Crowsfoot and the sailors.
And we also like the Bluecoats because of, I think, patience.
Yes.
The
Or-
Bluecoats like you for some reason.
Yeah.
Intriguing.
Yeah. All right. And what do we know about Ulf?
He's one of us.
He's
He's a Skovlin.
He's a Skovlander refugee, and recently he's come over and he's just started. He started just stirring up trouble. He's he just got a gang together, and he's starting to fight down a little bit south of Crowsfoot. I can't remember what the name of that is. Hold on a second.
Which sort of coincides with what we're doing.
A little bit,
Yeah,
yeah.
it sounds like somebody that we might want to
We could be like pocket cells of the
make
same.
friends with.
Yeah.
If he's from our native land and our
Yeah.
designs line up a little bit.
Maybe this is the Skovlin's attempt to undermine the existing government.
So him claiming territory, would that be from one of these others, or maybe it would just fill in another spot on this map here? or
He's
do we
actually
know?
operating in Char Hollow right now,
Okay.
Okay.
which is the district directly south.
Maybe we take it's Boz Bezo, is that it? The Lamp Black leader? Boz Bezo, is that his name, Ek?
Bazo, yeah.
Bazo.
Bazo Baz.
Bazo Baz, that's it. Thank you. I mean, maybe we just take him at his word and leave this area alone and help Ulf Ironborn. If we make contact and he's trying to claim territory and that lines up with our goals and we're aware of it, we can always just let this situation percolate a little bit more.
Sounds good to me.
I don't know how you guys feel about that.
So yeah,
I'm partly in agreement, but I'm thinking that we try to take advantage and maybe we coordinate with Ulf Ironborn to kind of throw our hat in the mix of it in an attempt to gain turf and all this other stuff that we want to get. Gamely dens and things like that.
So are you saying we should do that with him in Char Hollow, or we should talk to him and then help him presence in
Yeah.
this area?
Yep, exactly. We
Okay.
take piece by piece for both of us, both of our gangs.
Okay.
So yeah, the Ethereal Herald is kind of a newspaper that I'm putting out every session.
Can you share that one more time? I'm using the iPad and it's not.
Sure.
Thank you.
I mean, for all we know, Wolf could be some crazy lunatic. That may
He is a little bit
Sure.
crazy. He is a little bit crazy,
it's-
and his
Oh, never mind. Now he's a villain. I see. The Ethereal Herald. Ulf Ironborn's true colors shown. After earning their trust by targeting their cruel oppressors, the people of Coleridge were dismayed when their Skovlin hero turned villain as he began extorting them. According to an anonymous source, Ironborn intends to encroach on the Billhooks territory, but to what end? There's no escaping the watchful gaze of the Ethereal Herald, however, and we will update the story as information comes in.
sorry,
Well-
it says Coleridge. I meant to say Char Hollow.
Char Hollow. No, that's fine.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that being the case, we probably wouldn't want to be affiliated if he turns into a giant sack of shit.
Well, you guys aren't. I mean, we are all thugs and
yeah, I was going to say we're not exactly good
murderers
guys here.
That's okay. Good. Man, I'm really flip flopping here. You guys, I'm all over the place.
I found Doug's character to be very inconsistent.
We are bad guys. We're both bad guys. Yeah. Okay. Well, if he's extorting them, then I mean, most of our stuff has been a little more subtle than that. But
That's true.
Vice might not be.
Well, maybe not.
We could expand our horizons. Who knows?
Yeah, so that was kind of one of the things I was wanting to get to the bottom of. Are we good guys or are we bad guys? Like right now, we were members of the Skovlin War, the War of Skovlin Independence, or the Unification War, depending on what side you were on.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're here in Duskwall. Kevin was saying something about his character that he'd think that one of his drives might be to stick it to the man and might be to
Yeah.
try and
Absolutely.
kind of
I mean,
overthrow the government in some way. That's tough to do as one person, but maybe that's what kind of brought the group together.
I think that definitely lines up with Clank because I mean he was a labor miner in the mines, and I don't know if he was drafted or volunteered, but he joined the war effort as a saboteur, blowing things up, smashing things, helping, build up and break down. So,
Marrying one very strong lady.
oh, is that canon? Is that what
Oh
happened?
shit, we had joked about that. I didn't know if that's actually what you
I mean,
wanted.
I guess we can figure it out.
We're married in
Sure.
real life and the game
Sure, why
this
not?
time.
Um,
That's fun.
But yeah, I think he would be more than happy to stick it to the man as well, and that seems like a good drive.
I'm kind of picturing like the A team where maybe Hester, Andrew's guy, sort of funded and organized the whole thing, and we're sort of the special ops that.
I like that a lot.
Nice.
If we're just a bunch of redheads with one angry-looking
Yeah.
dude with lightning crackle.
Yes.
Cool. He's angry because he has to hang out with these assholes.
With a bunch of pale redheads.
And gills on his neck.
Gills on his this weirdo. I really like that. I think that's great.
That's fun.
Cool. So I might. So we're saying that Harvest kind of organized the group and got everybody together and said, "Hey, I'm tired of working 16-hour days in Coleridge.
Let's undermine their cities and people and populace and
Yeah, so I guess we are kind of the villains here.
Are we the
Yeah.
baddies?
We're the baddies. We're just I don't know to what extent we go out of our way to like be malicious to people, but I think
I mean,
in undermining the institution, it's a strange juxtaposition with being friendly with the blue
the blue
with
coats,
the
yeah.
fuzz.
yeah.
Where are the blue guys good?
That's,
They're the cops, basically.
Oh, the crows are the cops?
No, the blue coats.
The blue coats.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
They're-
goofed
the
up.
blue
I
coats
was
are
looking
not
at the
even.
map.
They're such a high tier of
Oh,
organization.
fuck. Oh, damn.
They're like
Okay.
a level 4 or something.
yeah, they're like
Yeah.
they're like the cops of the entire city of Duskwall, and
Gotcha.
they have troops and good equipment and things like that. But here in Crowsfoot, they don't send their best guys out to deal with that, and they're crooked as hell too.
Yeah.
Understood.
I mean, I don't know what Harvest's full backstory is, but maybe he's just like, I think it was based on one of his contacts was a blue coat or something, but he's just an ass kisser to them, and they're just like, oh yeah, these Scovlins, not all of them are so bad. Leave these guys alone. Meanwhile, we're like, you dumb assholes.
You stupid
idiots.
bitches.
I love the idea of like riding the fine line of just being kind of in the gray, and maybe we don't go out of our way to hurt anybody, but we
We're just a bunch of
Do you
gingers.
think they?
we're just a bunch of
Don't
ginkers.
mind us.
Do you think they've used us for wet work in the past? Like, we'll help the blue coats, clean up their dirty laundry or something for looking the other way
sure.
on us while we
That's-
go about blowing up buildings.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I love that idea.
Yep,
Alright,
it
yeah.
checks out.
It reminds me of Ulfric Stormcloak from Skyrim, how
Yeah.
he's like, rebelling against the Imperials while also being a blackmail agent for the High Elf Altmiri Dominion
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole time. So
Yeah.
like this
I'm digging
patriot who's actually a turncoat.
Such
I
a
dig
piece of shit.
Yeah.
it.
I mean, there's no good choice in that Civil War. But that's the
Right, but
point,
that's
right?
the point, right? Is bad people making bad choices in bad
Exactly.
situations. So it
For
doesn't
bad reasons.
right. So however we choose to justify it to ourselves is fine. It doesn't have to make sense. We're flawed people in a
Absolutely.
terrible world.
I can't
So
believe that dragon didn't eat him at the beginning. What's even the point?
all right. Well, yes, I really like that idea. I'm on board.
Cool.
All right, so
I had one other question.
okay.
For back to Lisa, is there any direct competition for her gaining control of the crows at the moment?
Yeah, there would be a probably the third in command that was loyal to Rorik.
Okay.
And yeah, he's probably in a position, but he's not really making a move right now. The only person making the moves in that gang is Lissa, and she's trying to just say, "Hey, this was the best thing for us," and
Gotcha.
Rorik was holding us back.
Okay.
So yeah, the one thing that's also built into this game is like the game is more fluid. So if we have to undo something and rethink something, then we'll do that. So if it doesn't make sense for the blue coats to be our faction that we're friendly with, we can change that with a different faction.
I don't know. I kind of dig the idea that we're kind of like in an uncomfortable partnership because they're so corrupt and we're so corrupt, and we're both kind of profiting off each other, even though officially we're actually against each other.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There's layers.
Layers upon layers.
So, with us still being, kind of the village popular city here, I do like the idea that we would probably be supporting Ulf Ironborn. If he's here just messing with things, that probably appeals to us. So even if we're not overtly helping him, maybe we should at least establish contact and see what's what.
Absolutely.
So yeah, he's starting to take over territory in Char Hollow, and basically he's extorting the people there. He gained their trust a little bit by taking out some of the crueler taskmasters that were driving the populace to work harder. But once he was welcomed into Char Hollow, that's when he kind of turned on them and has started basically seizing turf and expanding it and building a gang. And he's trying to.
So he might have a more extreme outlook than what we do when it comes to this sort of thing.
He might.
Yeah, he's trying to set up something where lots of protection rackets and things like that. But
gotcha.
I imagine that once he does get that protection racket going, then he will actually protect the people. It's just getting to that point is going to be breaking a few heads.
Right.
Right.
So he's taking a more overt approach. We're taking a more covert approach.
Yeah.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah, it does. Could be a good relationship there.
Okay. What else? So what else happened in the Ethereal Herald session? The Lamp Blacks were robbed.
I see they tried to pin that on us. The reporter tried to pin that on us.
I just assumed it was you.
The lamp. We're good with the lamp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was not you, but it was so professional that they were trying to attribute it to that person, the same people that knocked over the pawn shop.
So I have a question. As far as my character dipping in late, what's she been up to? Like, what would within this universe make sense? It doesn't really matter. She could just be there, but it would help me.
Would it make sense if she was off with Ulf Ironborn? Like, kind of feeling out that situation? Maybe she was helping with a little freelance work on the bottom with, like, this enforcement and shaking people down?
Yeah, I was thinking
to also serve as, like, a communication hub to be like,
sure.
This is what's happening over there, you guys. What are you to? I'm back now, by the way.
Hello.
I dig it.
Yeah, checks out. Good deal.
Yeah.
Asked and answered.
That's something we could do. We could start taking over some territory in Char Hollow alongside Ulf Ironborn and have kind of alliance between the two of you. I think if Ulf Ironborn had his way, then you guys would be paying up to him for operating in that territory.
That could be
Currently.
Right now, you're paying up to the Lamp Blacks to operate in their territory.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
That would be a fun conversation, though.
Gotta pay your dues.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on, what we want our stance with him to be. Because if we're paying up, then we're acknowledging that we are subservient, and he doesn't have any territory yet. So if he doesn't have any territory, and we don't have we get territory at the same time, then we're kind of putting ourselves into the middle of a struggle where if we're not paying, then we're openly saying, we're on the same level or we're better than you.
Mm-hmm.
And then we might be looking at our own turf war. So, but that could be good too.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that's very exciting.
just depends on what direction we want to go in.
So let me see. Let me look at my session 3 notes.
I look forward to that combo.
Right?
So
See
I feel
what-
like we have a better grasp of what's going on in the world. And we'll try to pick what our next score is here in a little bit. One thing that I did want to share the information that was with the necklace, only because that might also affect where you want to go. So
Okay.
I'll go ahead and share that with you. That's there is the person that's inside the ghost that's inside the necklace is was a lamp black lieutenant who went by the name of the alias of Splinter, and he's been trapped in the necklace for about a month now. The Red Sashes pulled information out of him for that. For two separate jobs. One of them was the one you read about in the Ethereal Herald that was already pulled off successfully, and the other one was about a score that was the Lamp Blacks have a shipment of enhanced spark drug. Normally, spark will let you. It kind of expands your mind to be to attune better into the ghost field, and it also allows you to send out some shocks, some minor shocks, nothing serious. This one lets you almost do Tempest level things that Kent was doing, and really opens your mind to the ghost field. So. And Bazo had also told you, hey, quit messing with the fog hounds. We have some serious smuggling coming in that's going to help us with the war. So you think that all that's related, and the Red Sashes know about that because they knew about they pulled all this information out of him.
So maybe Bazo doesn't know that the Red Sashes know that yet.
He does not.
Okay, so I mean, I feel like sharing. There's no real downside for sharing that, and we were intending on also capitalizing on that and stealing from the Lamp Blacks, which we have a good relationship with them now, and that would not go well. I don't think we need that stuff, and it would be much more valuable for us to give him information to help them safeguard that and get an edge over the Red Sashes, and also get more into his good graces after all the stuff with the Foghounds.
Yeah, if you
You guys feel the same way?
Yeah,
think
that sounds
I do.
pretty good.
So yeah,
I like it.
I think we would certainly, at the very least, let Bazo know what happened to Splinter, relay whatever information would be helpful for him to make sure his stuff stays safe, and maybe even set up an ambush for the Red Sashes.
What do we tell them about the 4 green guardians that were armored in half shells? Sorry, I couldn't resist.
You
That's
you
good.
got
That's
me.
all- that's
You
all
got
I
me.
want.
Man, I
I
didn't hear
made
about that
another
at all.
funny.
Sorry.
That was good. I liked it. I don't know in terms of how the necklace works. I feel like I remember overhearing something that he can put a different spirit into it, or
yeah,
that how it
he can release this spirit, the way the necklace works is if you put the necklace on somebody and then cut their throat, as the blood bleeds over the necklace, it draws the soul out and stores it in the necklace.
Gotcha. Pretty metal.
That's cool.
So, and there's
Normally it
nothing.
takes... Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Normally it takes like 1 to 3 days for a body to leave the spirit. So the spirit wardens will come by and collect bodies usually before that happens, and then incinerate the body in electroplasm to keep the ghost from rising up.
Gotcha.
But this draws it out immediately as the person dies.
So, as characters in this universe, we would know about like proper spirit disposal and stuff like that. I
Mhm.
don't imagine there's any kind of resurrection or putting a spirit back into a body to like live again or anything like that.
There actually is a spirit can possess a body.
Okay.
And if there's already a soul in it, then it's very traumatic for that person. And after after about a week, the person gains a trauma. After another week, they gain another trauma, and if they go for 4 weeks, then they're dead.
See, this is why we punch the ghost.
So I guess what I'm working towards is, what we would choose to do with the spirit already in the necklace, knowing that it's a lieutenant of one of our allies.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anything beneficial we can do for the spirit aside from just releasing it from the necklace or destroying the spirit entirely to make sure it doesn't become hostile, like what would our reaction as people in this world be knowing that this person's in the necklace?
Well, the legal thing to do is to turn it into the spirit wardens and have
Sure,
them,
yeah.
I'm just
Tell
telling
me
you.
about the spirit.
Right,
I
the
see. It's important though. I assume that would be one of the
This is more for Allie's benefit, okay?
Thank you.
As a new player,
Oh,
not for veteran Doug.
Sure.
But yeah, you turn it into the spirit ward so that they could incinerate it, because a ghost is going to eventually get driven mad by its hunger and just start attacking people. So it is dangerous.
Right.
Spirits that are kept in spirit bottles don't need to feed, and they're just kind of kept in a stasis state until you let them out to talk to them.
Gotcha.
But yeah, you could give it back to Bazo. The spirit wants to be let loose so that it can get vengeance on the Red Sashes that killed it. You could use him as a weapon.
That seems
That
okay.
sounds perfect.
That seems pretty good.
It's once the spirit is released from the necklace, if you don't have some way of supernaturally controlling it, then right now it's still pretty sane, so it'd probably be safe to use as a weapon. But if it feels slighted by you in any way, then it will try to seek vengeance on you as well. Vengeance is kind of a ghost's main shtick.
Gotcha.
Well, guys, don't worry about a ghost.
Yeah, so
But that's something that Sparks could potentially do with a tune, right? Is control the spirit, or is that something you can do?
There is a specific whisper power that allows him to compel a ghost and control it, and that's a much safer option. Anyone can attune and try and do stuff. Sparks is good at attune, so he might have an easier time of it. But yeah, that he could try to get the ghost to do something.
Gotcha.
But it'd probably be a desperate roll in order to do that,
Right.
which is free XP.
That's true. Okay, well, then I think for now, my vote at least would be give all the information we can to the Lamp Blacks to gain, to curry favor, to get into their good graces and let them stick one to the Red Sashes, and then hang on to the necklace and the spirit within it and leave that up to Sparks to control or destroy or employ as he chooses.
Sure. Okay.
And then, as
What
far
are the
as
chances of the spirit like going to the Lamp Blacks after it's? I don't know if it happens to escape or worst case scenario.
It might go back. His primary goal is to get vengeance, though. So he might go visit some people to try and scare up some trouble or try to scare up some friends to help him out. But interacting with a ghost is if you see a ghost, it is just supernaturally fear-inducing. You have to either there's a game mechanic. You either freeze up or you flee in terror, and you can choose one of those, or you can try to resist that effect.
Okay.
So unless the Lamp Blacks have a whisper on the payroll that deals with these spirits and things like that, then talking to people is not going to go well for him.
Yeah, checks out.
I'm sorry, Doug. What was you saying, buddy?
I was asking about the necklace, but then I pulled up the Ethereal Herald from session 1, and it just says the owners posted a reward for it, but there's no information on who it is, so we could probably assume that it would be somebody affiliated with the Red Sashes, or maybe they stole it from somebody else, or who knows. But I think that still comes back on Kent,
Yeah.
so I'm not worried about that.
Yep. So you guys could sell that necklace if you followed up that lead in the Ethereal Herald.
Gotcha.
So right now we're thinking about working with Ulf Ironborn, starting to scare up some extortion rackets and scare up some turf in Char Hollow. Is that
Seems
what,
Yeah, maybe we offer our covert methods to him to say, okay, well, you got this part covered, so we can help you with this part.
yeah, he definitely has the crazy, over the top, violent part down.
Yeah.
So Ulf, here I'll just read a little bit about Ulf. He's the leader, he's ruthless, he's savage, and he's bold. Ulf is newly arrived in Duskwall, seeking his fortune on the streets. His gang has had recent success with savage smash-and-grab operations, leading into a potential protection racket. As more Scotlander war refugees swell the city's population, the bigotry of some locals is starting to surface, with no Scov signs appearing at public houses and shops. Ulf's blind rage will be sparked off when he encounters this, surely leading his gang into war with any true Duskers brave enough to stand up to him. So he's been he's been messing around and stealing from the populace of Char Hollow.
Hmm.
So a couple of things that we're doing. We're telling the Lamp Blacks. Let me write this down. Future plan. We're about done, guys. Future plan.
I really like planning sessions, so this was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this has been super fun. So laid back, just chilling.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
The gameplay itself is, I mean, it's obviously the tension ratchets up, but it's straightforward and out of character. There's not a lot of time sensitivity. It's more just decide what you want to do, but you don't have to worry about like positioning on a battle map or anything like that.
Gotcha. Theater of the mind.
so right now the general plan is to team up with Ulf Ironborn and let the war get kicked off between the Red Sashes and the Lamp Blacks, and then once that happens, then we'll have the ability to give more help to the Lamp Blacks and start carving up Red Sash territory between the two of you.
I think that's what we're shooting
Yeah,
for.
sounds good.
Cool.
I'm even inclined to say we might even want to, and this comes back to like, you know, how things work socially. But if the Crows are also in the good graces with the Bluecoats, and you know they're a formidable force, we might have something in common with them. But you know, being that they're controlled by Lisa, I know it's probably unpalatable how she took control, but I don't know if we know anything about her as a character, or if it's just, you know, or how everyone feels, if she's just sort of a pariah now.
Right.
I don't think we'd want to affiliate with a pariah necessarily, but
Probably not.
She's
What-
brash and she's a killer. That's what word on the street is.
gotcha. Well,
I love her.
it sounds okay, but if we're going for a rash killer, we should probably only pick one of those for now.
Sorry,
No.
brash. With a
Brash killer.
B.
Needs a little ointment.
Yeah, there you go.
What do we know about the leader of the Red Sashes?
The Red Sashes are mainly an Aruvian gang. They own the Red Sash Academy, which is a sword school that teaches some Aruvian sword arts. They have some expertly trained warriors with great gear and things like that. So they're fighting them on even terms is not something you want to do.
You're probably
I feel
not.
like we're good about not making. We have a lot of tricksy stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. The crew is definitely professional and has done some really awesome scores so far. I don't think you would engage in a straight up fight unless you had to, and if you did, I think it would be the straight up fight would have some edges on your side somehow, either through alchemical bombs or calling in allies or things like that.
Sure.
But
So
the leader of the Red Sashes, Milara Clev, she is shrewd, ruthless, educated, and an art collector.
Oh,
A person of luxury.
a person of luxury.
Also, Harvest, Andrew's character, his vice is luxury.
Nice.
Yep, he
We're
was a
gonna be
noble and has
fancy
luxury.
bitches.
You were a
A scullion.
scallion, and your vice is luxury.
He misses what he used to have. You just want what you've
I
never had.
crave what I never. I haven't decided on a voice yet.
Cool. We've
It'll
been all over the
happen.
place. There's no
Yeah,
consistency, and that's
yeah.
fine. Hey, you know what? It's been 400 years. There's plenty of variety.
No,
Yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely.
it's either gonna be like a quasi-Russian or Michael Caine. I don't know. There's no in between, obviously.
I don't know.
but
Isn't there? Can you find that in between? Man.
the size of that
The size of the
tangerine.
tangerine.
How do you know Michael Caine in Russian?
Fuck, that's so hard. Compounded by the fact that I'm a lady.
Sure. Let me try one more time.
You can do it.
A sledgehammer, the size of a tangerine.
That's not bad.
That was way better, yeah.
That sounds hard.
Oh god, that is not sustainable.
No, not
God.
Oh, hello, my little babushka.
Oh, I like that. That was good too.
Master Wayne. Would you like some borscht?
What do we say when we eat all the boars? We get back up. Wait, that doesn't make sense.
Damn.
So I think we have enough of a session or enough of a idea for which direction we're going to be going. We're going to start knocking over some shops and living quarters and basically being assholes trying to claim some territory from the good citizens of Char Hollow.
Maybe we I know there's like different types of scores and we decide what it is before we go in.
Mhm.
I think our first one was a burglary.
Yeah, your
Because we
first one
did-
was stealth, and you snuck into the place, and that went off without a hitch. The second one,
Kind of a con job.
it was a deception, I think, was the plan.
That's
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
So the first
So
one
there's-
was
Assault. So there's assault where you choose a point of attack. So if we were doing a robbery, it would be assault probably. We're just going in. Occult, arcane power. I don't know what that means. Deception is your method, so we infiltrated with disguises. There's social, if you use a connection and get somebody else in. Stealth is entry point, so in the first one we snuck in through the roof and blew up another roof to go down. And then transport is a route. So I guess you decide where you're taking something.
okay.
I guess I'm not sure how all of them work in practice, but if we're doing something a little more rough and tumble, that one assault.
Yeah, it sounds like assault, probably.
Sounds like fun to me.
Ooh, that sounds like it might be the Vice show.
Oh no, I don't want that.
Well, you're the one going in the front, and you'd be potentially
Absolutely.
using command to be like. That's like we kick the door and we're like, all right, this is a robbery.
Oh
Gonna be the-
shit.
Yeah, you're the one who's shooting their gun in the air, pointing at everybody, being like, get off the
I'm gonna
ground.
be yelling out,
That's
"Charge!"
That's what you'd be doing.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'd be the one who blows the door open.
Make sure there's extra fog.
Yeah, you can do that. Smoke machine.
Yes.
This is our smoke machine. Crackle. Just looks at us angrily. Alright,
Why did his eyes do that? I do
that's
not know
his.
anything.
Sure. So he's Sparks specifically, everybody from Tycheros has a weird
Yes.
appearance? Okay, so his background, everybody from this place, it's quasi mystical. I don't think it's mythical, but like the people that come from there are weird.
Yeah,
attuned
it said that they
Oh.
have some sort of demon blood in their heritage, so think probably tiefling from D&D.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
So
So
either
his eyes
some of them
crackle
have
with
horns, some of them have scales, and some of them have feathers for hair. But Sparks has lightning crackling in his eyes.
You know, I can respect the shit out of that, considering every other character all seem to have electricity. It's just so cool,
It's a
you
cool
guys.
power set,
It's
yeah.
so cool.
Don't need
Sure
to
is.
convince me. I agree. All right.
Cool. I think I'll stop the recording here. Thanks for stopping
Thanks.
by.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yay. Check out
Here.
Doug and Alley.
There are a dozen of us.
Just us, not our show.
dozen.
RPG for you and me.
It's RPGforYouandme.com.
Cool.